Hello and welcome to the COPE24 Power of Parenting Virtual Gala. I'm Fox 2 Sports Director Martin Kilcoyne, and yes, COVID-19 has everybody shut down at home. For the most part, our events are canceled, but the need continues, the mission continues. So the gala, it lives on. We're going to be with you this week, sharing the message, sharing stories, people who are impacted by what COPE24 is able to do. And I'm really recent to their message in the last year or so, but once I found out what they're all about, you can't help but share the passion that Renee Howitt has to change really not only how we parent, but what happens to these kids. Renee Howitt, I always say she's the mover and the shaker. She's the executive director. She's the founder of COPE24. So without further ado, let's hear from Renee.
When COPE24 was first founded, we had a goal that we wanted to reduce incidences of child abuse and neglect. We weren't exactly sure how we were going to accomplish that, but we knew education was going to be a piece of this, a big piece of this. I had already begun working with family and consumer science teachers across Missouri and then across the nation. At the same time, I had been appointed to Missouri's Task Force on Children's Justice and then their Critical Event Review Committee. And all of this work combined gave me a better understanding of the generational cycle of dysfunction in our families and the magnitude of that problem. Family and consumer science teachers are on staff at almost all of our high schools across the nation. They offer courses like parenting, child development, family relations, adult living, and health. I was often an invited guest speaker, and when the teachers had to step out into the hallway in between classes to monitor students, it gave me a chance to look at their textbooks and other supplemental material that they had as tools for this type of education. And what I noticed was the missing piece was that there was nothing reality-based. So here's what I mean. A teacher can assign students to read a textbook, a chapter in a textbook, and then the next day discuss that chapter, lecture from that chapter, and then in the following days, have them take a test. Most of these students will do really well on the test because this is real life. But a good test score can give students a false sense of competency. See, our classrooms are sterile. There's no child crying or another child throwing a tantrum or a child that needs to be potty trained or that defiant child that won't go to bed at night. Or I didn't just work all day and come home with a headache, stressed out. Maybe I brought work home with me, and my kids are running around yelling and screaming and fussing and fighting. See, those are everyday, common parenting situations that when we don't possess coping skills, anger management skills, or critical thinking skills, those are the common parenting situations that can erupt into abuse, neglect, or dysfunction. COPE24 produces reality-based material that these teachers can use as supplements to textbooks. We cut no corners on producing these videos. From conception to creation, we spend about 2 years on each of them. We're trying to create a movement where this nation would begin to understand we need parenting and child development education to be reaching all of our students in all of our schools. A priority secondary only to the core subjects.
All right, the COPE24 Power of Parenting Virtual Gala rolls on, and we've got some celebrity input here. So one guy played hockey, the other guy thinks he knows everything there is to know about hockey. That's Cam Jansen, Andy Strickland, part of the popular Cam and Strick podcast, teamed up. I don't know how these two got linked together, but now you can go out for coffee, they're together. Flip on the radio, they're together. Cam Jansen, the former Blues tough guy, Andy Strickland, hockey insider.
Before I learned about COPE24, I'll tell you what, Andy, I didn't know that much about parenting. Of course, I had great parents, and I was lucky for that. But teaming up with you, having 3 kids, oh my gosh, you know what? I learned a lot, my man.
You know, there's a lot that comes with it, right? And it doesn't come with a manual. You better make sure you have people who can help you and guide you along the way. Thankfully, we have COPE24.
Absolutely.
The COPE24 video series and curriculum supplements tie in well with our textbook. All of the areas are addressed in our textbook, so it's just a more reiteration and more current source to use to supplement what they're learning from the outline of the textbook.
So a lot of textbooks have awesome information, but a lot of it's just, this is what it is, kind of fact-based. And so they need to know that foundationally. But these videos and the curriculum, it uses story, which is what kids remember and what we all remember, what we connect to. And so I think that is just the strongest piece is, again, real people, real faces. It's something that they can get a hold of, connect in with those stories. And it's easy when you're reading a textbook just to think it's not going to happen to me. That's not my situation. So these videos do a good job, I think, of showing, let down your guard, a few poor choices, and then these are lasting consequences. So it's takes it a step further than a traditional textbook would.
These programs alone could be a standalone program. I think you wouldn't even need anything out of the textbook, and you could teach what you needed out of these videos. They are so well made, and so they cover the topic so well. However, I normally do use them as a supplement to the textbook. Some of them I use it as an intro, and some of them I use it as a wrapping up point. And it kind of varies from year to year what I use it for. This year, because I got them later in the year, I used them later. But I think you could show them anywhere, in a child development class, in a parenting class. I've even, in my prayer school, I taught health. Showed them in there as well.
Textbooks are great because they teach you how things should be and how we want things to end up in life. But the problem with that is it creates kind of a Pinterest effect, and it's really easy to feel like your life is not up to snuff if you're not living like the textbook says. And by using real authentic situations like the ones in the videos, I think it helps students to see that not everybody's life is perfect, and just because we know how things should be doesn't mean that we're doing a crummy job if our life is not exactly like that. But it also gives them some discussion starters, some points to think about, and some maybe baby steps that they can take towards getting their lives improved a little bit and the lives of their offspring as well.
I use the COPE24 videos every time because it's more realistic than reading about it in a textbook. They're real live people with real stories, and some of those situations blow the minds of my kids. I'm going to be very honest with you. The one that really blows their mind in the COPE24 video life sentence is the story of the pastor who shook his baby. And it just opens the door for great discussions. Like, you could have this man of God who loved his son, and he even had some stressors in his life, and he shook his baby and is in prison. And so that really opens their eyes.
Cam, since you and I became affiliated with COPE24, we've seen up close and personal just how many families they've helped along the way. You at home can help too. In fact, Cam, why don't you get your checkbook out and write a check and help support COPE24?
Don't mind if I do. How many zeros do you want?
Well, one or two, maybe another one
I'll
right
add
there.
a couple more to this because it's a great charity.
And you're helping families too. COPE24, an organization that we're proud to be affiliated with.
Part of our message this week will include videos, one that was produced by COPE24. And this is an important message. It's about teen pregnancy.
This is a story about kids. It's about mothers who are too young, fathers who disappear, and the precious lives they create. This is a story about teen pregnancy and how it dominates lives for generations.
I got pregnant at 15.
I got pregnant when I was 16.
I was 18 years old. I was a senior in high school.
I found out I was pregnant right after I'd gotten a whole bunch of college acceptance letters. I couldn't believe it. I took multiple pregnancy tests and I stared at each one with my mouth open every time it came up positive.
I had the power to get pregnant. I had the power to make my own family. I think getting pregnant was definitely a way I could change my future and fix what my childhood had been.
I maintained a 4.0 grade point average. I had the stigma of going to school pregnant. I wound up not graduating from high school.
It's really upsetting because I can't go to college and just be a normal 18-year-old.
It hurts when you realize that you can't do what you wanted to do with your life. My life would have been so much different if I would have never gotten pregnant. Her dad randomly sent me a text one day saying that he wasn't coming back and that he didn't love me anymore and he didn't want any part of either of us. And then I just had to think about how I was gonna be a single mom.
I had nowhere to go, no one to go to. And the only help or resource that I had at my disposal was the Child Abuse and Neglect Hotline. You basically have to call the state and say, I am in a position where I'm neglecting my children. I can't provide, a roof over their heads. I am homeless right now and I need help.
Cycle has to be interrupted, and the only way to do that is not have these kids so you're ready. You're old enough. You're in a relationship. If I could go back, I would just now start having kids.
Teenagers should absolutely not have children.
When you're a kid, you don't know how to raise a kid.
Teenagers are not made to be parents.
You don't have a child when you're a teenager because you just lack the skills and know-how to make a whole person. Kids should not raise kids.
By teaching the youth that by becoming a parent doesn't mean, oh, it's so cool to be a parent, and the child is always perfect and you won't lose your temper. And so what Renee teaches is this isn't reality. What is reality is you're gonna lose your temper. But how do you work with that? How do you cope with that? What does that mean? It gives them the ability to learn.
Just imagine a world where every child and teenager learned to be nurturing and caring before they even became parents. How much better this world would be, how much kinder the world would be, a world without child abuse and neglect. We need to continue to educate our teenagers and young adults on the importance of parenting before they become parents themselves. And that's what Renee is doing through this work.
Cam, we saw it growing up. Kids deal with obstacles, all types of adversity. Just think if they had COPE24 in their lives to help them along the way.
Oh my gosh, having COPE24 just to learn, going through different stages of life. Check it out. They do a great job. It's a great charity to have.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. COPE24, they've helped hundreds and thousands of people all across the country.
Well, as they say in show business, we're just getting warmed up. This is day one of 4 days of us delivering the message, so make sure you tune in each day or tell your friends to get online. The need is there, and we're fundraising. We're going virtual. It's a little different. Everything is in 2020, but we still need your help. It's COPE24.com. This is day one. That means we're back at it on Thursday. 4 days of a special message from our friends at COPE24.